Forgiveness is not something you do for others. It is something you do for yourself. Many people misunderstand this. They think that forgiving means excusing what happened, pretending that the wrong was not wrong. This is not forgiveness. True forgiveness means you no longer allow the past to control your inner state. You stop replaying the same wound, the same memory, again and again in your mind. Each replay ties you tighter to the pain. Forgiving yourself is the moment you decide to let go of the rope that keeps you bound. In that letting go, freedom begins. It does not erase the past, but it frees your present. When you hold on to guilt, shame, or regret, you become a prisoner of your own thoughts. Your body is free, but your mind is trapped inside invisible walls. Every step forward is pulled back by the memory of what you could have done differently. But life was never meant to be lived backwards. You cannot walk into tomorrow while dragging the heavy weight of yesterday. Forgiving yourself is like putting down a stone you have carried for too long. The moment you release it, you notice how light you feel. The path in front of you becomes clearer because you no longer stare at the stone in your hands. Inner freedom cannot exist where self-condemnation lives. Think of the mind as a garden. If every day you plant seeds of blame, you will harvest bitterness, anger, and self-hatred. If you plant seeds of forgiveness, you will harvest peace, clarity, and courage. Forgiveness is the water that cleanses the soil of your heart, making it ready for new life to grow. Without it, nothing fresh can flourish. To forgive yourself is to recognize, yes, I have stumbled. Yes, I have failed. But I am not my failure. In that recognition, you reclaim your humanity. You realize that imperfection is not a curse. It is the very way we learn. Some people believe that by holding on to regret, they are somehow proving they are sorry. They think, if I suffer enough, maybe I will atone. But suffering without transformation is useless. It does not heal the past, it only prolongs the wound. Forgiveness, however, transforms. It takes the energy you have been wasting on guilt and redirects it into growth. By forgiving yourself, you honor the lesson. You say, I understand now. I see what I could not see before. That is real atonement. Learning deeply and then choosing differently. Freedom comes not from punishing yourself endlessly, but from allowing the lesson to shape a wiser version of you. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. Every mistake, every regret, every harsh word you ever told yourself is another stone inside. At first, you may not notice, but as time passes, the weight grows heavier. You feel exhausted, not because the road is difficult, but because of what you carry. Forgiveness is the act of opening that backpack and removing the stones one by one. You cannot walk freely until you do, and the truth is, no one else can take the stones out for you. Only you can forgive yourself. Only you can lighten your own burden. When you do, the journey of life feels different, less struggle, more freedom. Forgiveness is also about trust. Trusting that you can still walk forward even after falling. Too often, people lose trust in themselves. They say, I made this mistake once, I cannot be trusted again. But this thinking chains them forever to the past. Forgiving yourself means trusting in your ability to grow beyond who you were yesterday. It means believing that the self who failed is not the same self standing here today. You are evolving, always. Freedom comes when you see that the one who erred and the one who now seeks forgiveness are not identical. They are separated by experience, by understanding, by the passage of time. When you forgive yourself, you also change the way you see the world. A heart filled with guilt looks outward with suspicion, fear, and heaviness. A heart at peace sees possibility, beauty, and new beginnings. Forgiveness cleans the lens through which you view reality. Without it, even good things are overshadowed by your inner pain. With it, even challenges become opportunities to practice strength. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of a calm, uncluttered mind. Forgiveness provides that calm. It untangles the knots that keep your spirit restless, allowing you to experience the simplicity of being alive here and now. Forgiveness does not mean you forget what happened. Memory will always remain, but the meaning of that memory changes. Instead of being a chain that pulls you down, it becomes a stepping stone that lifts you higher. You begin to see your past mistakes as teachers, reminders of where you have been, not prisons of where you must stay. This shift is freedom. To forgive is to transform your relationship with the past. You no longer deny it, you no longer fight it, you integrate it. You carry it as wisdom, not as punishment. That is how forgiveness liberates. It makes peace with what was so that you can walk into what is to come. Sometimes people say, I cannot forgive myself because what I did hurt others. But remember this, if you truly wish to make amends, your first responsibility is to heal yourself. A wounded person cannot bring healing to others. Self-forgiveness is not selfish. It is the foundation of all compassion. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to act differently, to make better choices, to offer kindness where before you offered harm. True freedom is not escape from responsibility. It is the ability to face responsibility with clarity instead of with self-hatred. When you forgive, you create the strength to do better. Forgiveness is the bridge between your past and your future. Without it, you stand stuck on one side, staring at the river of regret. With it, you cross over into new territory. Freedom lies in that crossing. It is not an easy step. It requires courage to say, I no longer condemn myself. But once you take it, you discover how open life truly is. You feel lighter, stronger, and more present. Forgiving yourself does not erase your story. It transforms it. You begin to live not as a prisoner of who you were, but as a creator of who you are becoming. This is inner freedom, the ability to move on, unchained, into the vastness of life. Mistakes are part of being human. They are not a sign of weakness, but a sign that you are alive, trying and learning. Too often, people treat mistakes as prisons, walls that lock them into shame and regret. They replay their errors endlessly, as if punishing themselves will somehow erase what happened. But this is not the way of growth. A mistake should not become a life sentence. Instead, it is a message, a signal pointing to a better way. When you shift your view from punishment to learning, everything changes. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin asking, what can I learn from this? That simple question turns a prison door into an open gate. Every mistake carries a hidden lesson. Sometimes the lesson is about patience. Sometimes it is about humility. Sometimes it is about clarity, teaching you what path not to take. But the lesson is always there, waiting to be seen. If you treat a mistake only as failure, you miss the teaching. Life is like a teacher who uses both kindness and challenge to instruct you. When you fall, life is not punishing you. It is redirecting you. The mistake is a compass. If you listen, it shows you where not to go and where to look instead. The problem is not the mistake itself. The problem is when you refuse to learn from it. Think of a child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they bump into things. But do they stop trying because of mistakes? No, they learn balance through falling. Every mistake is part of the path to walking steadily. In the same way, your life requires mistakes. Without them, you would never grow strong. Without them, you would never develop resilience. If you expect to live without mistakes, you are demanding perfection, and perfection does not belong to human life. By making peace with mistakes, you accept yourself as a student. You stop punishing yourself for not being finished and instead embrace the process of becoming. This shift is freedom. The danger of treating mistakes as prisons is that you stop moving. You become stuck, afraid to act, afraid to risk, afraid to fail again. Fear builds walls around you. You say, I cannot try because I might fail. But avoiding mistakes is itself the greatest mistake, because it denies you growth. Mistakes are not meant to keep you small. They are meant to stretch you beyond what you thought possible. They are life's way of shaping your character. If you are brave enough to step outside the prison of fear, you discover that every failure becomes a stepping stone, carrying you higher. Sometimes, the lesson of a mistake is very practical. It teaches you a skill. If you touch fire, you learn quickly about heat. If you speak harshly and hurt someone, you learn the weight of words. But sometimes, the lesson goes deeper. A mistake can reveal your ego, showing you how attached you were to being right. It can reveal your impatience, showing you where discipline is needed. These deeper lessons are gifts, even if they come wrapped in pain. They teach you about yourself, the hidden parts you did not want to see. And when you face them honestly, you grow more complete, more balanced, more whole. Do not confuse learning with punishment. Punishment says, you are wrong, you are bad, you are unworthy. Learning says, you can grow, you can change, you can become better. The same mistake can lead to despair or wisdom. It depends on how you hold it. If you wear your mistakes like chains, you remain a prisoner. If you carry them like books, you become a student. And what do students do? They learn, they improve, they move forward. Life is not asking you to be flawless. It is asking you to be teachable. That is the real strength, not perfection, but openness to the lesson. History is full of people who failed many times before they succeeded. Great inventors, thinkers, and leaders made countless mistakes. If they had treated each failure as a prison, they would have stopped. Instead, they treated failure as a teacher. Every error refined their understanding, sharpening their vision. Their greatness did not come from avoiding mistakes. It came from learning from them. You are no different. Your mistakes are part of the material life uses to build you. Do not waste them. Do not despise them. Respect them as teachers, and you will walk a path of growth that others cannot see. Mistakes also teach compassion. When you face your own failures, you learn to see the struggles of others more clearly. A person who never forgives their own mistakes often becomes harsh and judgmental. But when you forgive yourself and learn, you grow softer, kinder, more understanding. You realize that everyone is walking their own path of trial and error. Instead of condemning, you begin to support. Instead of judging, you begin to guide. Mistakes can break you open, not into despair, but into empathy. They remind you that we are all learners, and that wisdom comes not from never falling, but from rising again and again. If mistakes are teachers, then the classroom is your life. Every day you are given opportunities to practice. Some days you succeed, some days you stumble. Both are necessary. Do not expect the lesson to end quickly. Growth is a lifelong process. Each mistake reveals another layer of your humanity. If you learn with humility, you will never run out of ways to evolve. But if you close your heart and refuse to listen, the same mistakes will repeat again and again, louder each time. The lesson will not disappear until you receive it. The sooner you open your mind, the sooner you are free. Mistakes are not prisons. They are invitations. They invite you to step into a higher version of yourself. They invite you to release pride, to cultivate patience, to develop wisdom. The choice is always yours. Will you sit in the prison of regret, or will you walk into the school of life? Freedom comes when you choose to learn. You no longer fear mistakes, because you know they are not the end. They are beginnings, each one a doorway into deeper understanding. Respect your mistakes. Learn from them. Let them guide you. Then they cease to be chains and become wings, carrying you closer to the person you are meant to be. The past is fixed. No matter how many times you replay it in your mind, no matter how deeply you wish it had been different, it will remain exactly as it is. Many people waste their strength fighting this reality. They rehearse old conversations, replay old mistakes, and torture themselves with endless what-ifs. But what has already unfolded cannot be rewritten. The energy you spend resisting the past is energy stolen from the present. To live wisely is to accept this truth: the past is unchangeable. But acceptance does not mean hopelessness. It means clarity. And with clarity, You recognize that while yesterday is sealed, today is alive, and tomorrow is wide open. Why is it so difficult to release the past? Because the mind craves control. It believes, if I think long enough, I can undo what was done. But control over time is an illusion. The river of life only flows forward. You cannot step into the same water twice. What happened cannot be undone, but what happens next is still in your hands. This is the freedom hidden inside acceptance. By letting go of the illusion of control over the past, you awaken to the real control you do have, the ability to choose how you live this moment and how you step into the moments ahead. The past is like a shadow. It follows you, but it has no substance unless you give it attention. When you stare at the shadow, you lose sight of the light. But when you turn toward the light, the shadow remains behind you, no longer commanding your focus. In the same way, if you live facing the past, you walk backward into life, unable to see where you are going. When you face forward, toward the future, you notice possibilities, opportunities, and beginnings that were hidden before. The past cannot change, but your direction can. Where you place your gaze determines the quality of your journey. There is wisdom in remembering the past, but danger in being trapped by it. Memory can serve as a teacher, reminding you of lessons learned, experiences gained, and growth achieved. But when memory becomes obsession, it binds you. The purpose of the past is not to hold you prisoner, it is to prepare you. Every event, even painful ones, has contributed to who you are today. To deny your past is to deny your own story. To cling to your past is to freeze your story in place. But to accept it and move forward is to write the next chapter with intention. The open future is like a blank page. Many people fear it because it is uncertain. They prefer to return to the past, even if it is painful, because it feels familiar. But freedom lies in the unknown. The blank page is not empty, it is full of potential. The future offers you countless paths, each shaped by the choices you make now. Dwelling on the past keeps you stuck in yesterday's script, but opening yourself to the future allows you to create something new. The past is heavy, the future is light. One pulls you down, the other invites you to rise. If you wish to step into the future with strength, you must release the weight of regret. Regret is the voice that says, I should have done differently. But this voice is powerless because it speaks about what cannot be altered. A wiser voice says, next time, I will act differently. That is the voice of the future. Regret chains you to a closed door. Hope turns you toward the doors still open. When you let go of regret, you do not lose your past, you transform it. It becomes a lesson rather than a prison. The future then becomes a canvas, waiting for your brushstrokes. Every sunrise is proof that life is offering you another chance. The night has ended, and a new day begins, whether or not you are ready. Nature does not look backward. Trees do not regret last season's storms. Rivers do not wish they had flowed differently. They simply continue growing, moving, adapting. You too are part of nature. You are not meant to be frozen in old memories. You are meant to flow. The past cannot be changed, but each sunrise invites you to live again, wiser than before. To accept this gift is to honor both your past and your future. Some people cling to the past because they think it defines them forever. They say, I am this way because of what happened to me. But the past is not your identity. It is only your history. Your identity is shaped by the choices you make now. If you continue to define yourself by what has been, you trap yourself in old patterns. But if you define yourself by what you are becoming, you step into freedom. The past may have written the first chapters of your story, but the pen is still in your hand. The future is yours to write. Forgiveness plays a vital role here. To embrace the open future, you must forgive yourself for the unchangeable past. Without forgiveness, you will carry resentment into tomorrow, poisoning every step. Forgiveness clears the ground, allowing new seeds to grow. When you release the need to rewrite what has already happened, You find space to create what has not yet happened. The past is closed, but the future is waiting. And the quality of that future depends on the state of your heart today. Forgiveness is the bridge that takes you from regret to renewal, from yesterday's burden to tomorrow's possibility. The truth is simple: the past is unchangeable, but the future is open. This realization is not meant to sadden you, it is meant to liberate you. It means you are not trapped. It means life is not finished with you yet. Every moment is an invitation to choose again, to live differently, to walk with greater wisdom. Do not waste time fighting with shadows. Instead, step into the light of the open future. You cannot go back, but you can always go forward. And in moving forward, you discover the greatest freedom of all, the power to shape the life that still lies ahead. Life is a continuous flow. Nothing in nature holds on forever. Trees shed leaves, rivers keep moving, and even the sun sets each day to rise anew. Yet humans often resist this natural law. We cling to relationships, failures, identities, and memories long after they have served their purpose. This clinging creates stagnation. Moving on is not about forgetting or pretending something never mattered. It is about respecting what was, learning from it, and then allowing yourself to release it. When you move on, you do not lose. It is the opposite. You create space, just as the empty ground after harvest allows new seeds to be planted. Without moving on, renewal cannot arrive. Why is moving on so powerful? Because holding on consumes your energy. Imagine trying to carry water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. In the same way, when you cling to the past, you exhaust yourself while gaining nothing. Moving on is an act of wisdom. It recognizes that what is gone will not return in the same form. By releasing it, you save your energy for what is still to come. Renewal does not come through resistance. It comes through acceptance. To move on is to align with life's rhythm, where every ending opens the door to a new beginning. Many fear moving on because they mistake it for abandoning. They think, if I let go, it means I never cared. But moving on does not erase value. It honors the experience by giving it a place in your heart without letting it control your steps. You carry the lesson, but not the burden. In this way, moving on is not rejection. It is integration. You take what was meaningful and transform it into wisdom. The rest you release. Renewal requires this balance, remembering without being imprisoned, honoring without being trapped. Moving on is a declaration that life is still unfolding, and you are willing to meet it with open hands. Moving on is also a form of self-respect. When you refuse to move forward, you allow the past to dictate your worth. You measure yourself by old failures, old pain, or old attachments. But you are not defined by what you once endured. You are defined by the choices you make today. Moving on says, I am more than my past. It is a statement of dignity. You choose not to live as a prisoner of yesterday's shadows, but as a participant in today's light. Renewal begins with this recognition. The moment you step away from what no longer serves you, you begin to breathe differently, deeper, freer, lighter. Space is necessary for renewal. A room filled with clutter cannot welcome new furniture. A mind filled with regrets cannot welcome new visions. A heart filled with old pain cannot welcome new love. Moving on clears that space. It empties what no longer belongs, making room for what does. Without this clearing, renewal cannot take root. Life does not withhold opportunities. You simply cannot receive them while your hands are already full. Moving on is the act of opening your hands, releasing what is heavy, and making space for what is yet to arrive. In this emptiness, life plants new beginnings. Renewal is not always dramatic. It can be quiet, like the slow growth of grass after winter. But it requires space. If you are still clinging to yesterday's hurt, you block the subtle movements of renewal. Moving on allows life's quiet healing to reach you. You begin to notice small joys, fresh possibilities, and gentle shifts in perspective. What once seemed impossible begins to feel lighter. Moving on is not one single step but a continuous practice. Every time you release, you create more space. Every time you create space, renewal has more room to blossom. In this way, moving on is both the end and the beginning of healing. Moving on also restores your energy. When you are stuck in the past, you live with constant inner tension. You rehearse the same conversations, relive the same wounds, and drain yourself with what if thinking. This is exhausting, but when you decide to move on, you redirect that energy toward creation instead of repetition. Suddenly, what was heavy becomes fuel. Renewal arises not because the past disappears, but because you stop feeding it with your attention. You begin to invest in the present moment, and where your energy flows, life grows. Renewal is simply the natural result of energy being released into new soil. Moving on also deepens your wisdom. Every time you release, you realize how much of life is beyond control. You see that clinging does not change outcomes, it only prolongs pain. This recognition strengthens you. It makes you more patient, more adaptable, more in tune with reality. Renewal is not about erasing the past, but about evolving beyond it. Moving on teaches you resilience. It shows you that no matter what ended, you remain. No matter what was lost, you are still here, breathing, learning, and growing. This perspective is powerful. It frees you from fear, reminding you that renewal is always possible as long as you are alive. Moving on also makes you lighter for the journey ahead. Life is long, and to carry too much weight is to tire before reaching your destination. Every attachment you release, every regret you let go of, every pain you forgive, it all removes stones from your backpack. Renewal is not found in carrying more, but in carrying less. The less you cling, the more freely you move. The more freely you move, the more open you are to discovery. Renewal is not just about survival. It is about opening yourself to life's unfolding mystery with curiosity and courage. Moving on is the key that unlocks this openness. Moving on creates space for renewal because it aligns you with life's natural rhythm, release and rebirth, ending and beginning, loss and growth. Nothing in nature clings, and neither should you. Renewal is life's promise, but it requires trust, the trust to let go of what is gone and to welcome what is not yet visible. The past may have shaped you, but it does not own you. The future may be uncertain, but it is alive with possibility. Moving on is the bridge between these two truths. It is the step that clears the ground and opens the door, and in that space renewal quietly, powerfully begins.